It's 5:52 in the morning. The sun's not up, the birds aren't up. Most of the country is several REM cycles deep. And our beloved 79-year-old President of the United States is wide awake and absolutely not at all in the throes of anything sinister or unwell. How can you tell? Because he's reposting memes. More than a dozen. And as usual, the topics are calling Barack Obama a treasonous traitor, watercolors of houses with picket fences captioned Trump's America in 2026, a bicycle with sunflowers in the basket. And of course, double posting that our pool is bigger than skyscrapers, comparing the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool to the Sears Tower and One World Trade for some reason. That was 5:52 in the morning on Tuesday. And just a few hours later, the man who just rage posted a sunflower bicycle at sunrise walked into Walter Reed Medical Center for his annual physical, which is technically his second physical in 13 months, which is technically actually his third, maybe fourth time in front of these doctors in 13 months, but sure, annual. And he was there for 3.5 hours. Imaging, labs, they presumably counted his fingers or something. He had at least 3 of them. And then they released him back out into the wild. And on the way back to the White House, the president, with chronic venous insufficiency, a mystery rash on his neck that keeps popping up, swollen ankles, the makeup-covered bruises on his hands, and of course the Memorial Day video where he's literally swaying at the podium like a tree in a stiff breeze, posted some words on Truth Social. In all caps, everything checked out perfectly after he had just finished his 6-month physical, his 6-month annual physical. Sure thing, pal. You're perfectly well. We believe you. Why wouldn't we believe you? This is the same guy whose physician, Dr. Sean Barbabella, said it back in October that Trump has a cardiac age approximately 14 years younger than his chronological age. That makes the presidentia's heart, 65 years old? No word on his mouth, his brain, or anything like that. We presume those are 15 years older. His hands, those are obviously just fine. They're just covered in makeup because of all those two-handed handshakes, combined with his ridiculous daily aspirin regimen. It's the handshakes. They're going to keep using that word. At some point, they're probably going to blame him dozing off on all the handshakes. But clearly, there is something wrong with this man. Aside from the 5:52 a.m. rage posting on Memorial Day at Arlington, the holiest American ceremony there is, the wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier, the bugler, and all of the pomp and circumstance. And there is the commander-in-chief standing next to J.D. Vance, swaying, visibly unsteady, wobbling, and in the words of one of those viral posts, like a weeble. And then there's pictures of him seated, falling asleep.
The mourners of that first Decoration Day knew what we know on this Memorial Day, that these graves are more than names and dates with a dash in between. Each grave marker is a story. The young American on the battlefield away from home, he stayed in contact with loved ones by writing letters. In World War II, they called it victory mail.
Dr. Jonathan Reiner, who works for CNN, who was actually a cardiologist to Dick Cheney's actual heart, apparently he had one, looked at that footage and said on air, this could be evidence of a severe illness. You don't say. A severe illness coming from Dick Cheney's cardiologist. This man knows what a sick old man with a bad heart looks like because he kept one alive for 16 years, presumably with the most jerry-rigged pump ever. And of course, the White House had to respond. The Rapid Response 47 Twitter account lashed out, showing pictures of CNN anchors simply blinking or looking down at their papers, as if that is evidence that Dana Bash is falling asleep on air. And meanwhile, the White House's official spokesperson tells us with a straight face that this is the sharpest and most accessible president in American history. In history! You know, Lincoln, Washington, FDR, Jefferson, all of them. None of them as sharp as the guy who reposts a sunflower bicycle at 5:52 in the morning. And then we have to overlook what he did on Memorial Day, where he accidentally publishes a private DM to Speaker Mike Johnson on his main feed because he forgot which part of the app he was in. You know, this message that read, "Mike, thank you for your nice words on Fox. We are on the same path. Keep up the great work. Good luck on the show. President DJT." Posted publicly, visible to his roughly, 4.6 million followers? Because that's what the sharpest president in American history does. That man doesn't know the difference between a private chat and a public feed. And that is the man whose doctor just declared that he is more fit than most 65-year-olds. So again, President Trump gets this clean bill of health. The mystery rash on his neck, it's probably just something from a cream. The bruises on the hands are aspirin and handshaking. The swelling in his ankles, perfectly normal. The swaying, it's from the heat. The sleeping, from boredom. And those 5 a.m. Truth Social posts are just work ethic. The hardest working president ever. And an accidental DM, it's probably a hack or something. But at least we now know, because of the rapid response Twitter account, that everyone on CNN has narcolepsy. Everything is fine because everything checked out perfectly. You know what also would be perfect here? Releasing the actual results, like Biden did. The thing that every president before him did. The thing this White House refuses to release, the actual results, because the actual report is 90% redacted, with the other 10% saying things like, "We gave him candy. He was a brave little soldier. He did very well with the puzzles." So do me a favor. Tell me in the comments, what do you think? Was Trump actually sleeping at Arlington, or was he just deep in reflection? And then make sure you subscribe, because we are going to keep track of every makeup-covered, sunflower post, treasonous traitors screaming, swaying at Arlington moment of Trump's Walter Reed goofy dance.
They called it closed, filed away, forgotten. But some truths don't stay buried. Time doesn't erase guilt. A reckoning is always just around the corner. A death in Arcadia. Justice has a long memory.